Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Do you want to start? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Do we read the translation? All the pervading personality of Godhead, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskrityam navaram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tatom jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise with songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Timidandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Perfect. So, we're reading from the 9th canto, chapter 21, starting with text 1. Yeah? Okay, we'll just read the English translation until I think it was text 18. And then we'll go into, and then we'll read the Sanskrit and the purport for text 12. Okay. So I'll just read the translation, if that's okay. So Sukadev Goswami said, Canto 9, Chapter 21, Text 1. Sukadev Goswami said, because Bharadvaj was delivered by the Marud demigods, he was known as Vitata. The son of Vitata was Manyu, and from Manyu came 5 sons, Brihat Kshatra, Jaya, Mahavirya, Nara, and Garga. Of these 5, the one known as Nara had a son named Sankriti. Does anyone else? We can go? You can read the translation. Oh, you okay.
O Maharaj Parikshit, descendant of Pandu, Sankriti had 2 sons, named Guru and Rantideva. Rantideva is famous in both this world and the next, for he is glorified not only in human society, but also in the society of demigods.
Sure.
Rantideva never endeavored to earn anything. He would enjoy whatever he got by the arrangement of providence. But when guests came, he would give them everything. Thus, he underwent considerable suffering along with the members of his family. Indeed, he and his family members shivered for want of food and water, yet Rantideva always remained sober. Once, after fasting for 48 days, in the morning, Rantideva received some water and some foodstuffs, made with milk and ghee. But when he and his family were about to eat, a Brahmana guest arrived.
Sarthak Prabhu.
Because Rantideva perceived the presence of the Supreme God everywhere, and in every living entity, he received the guest with faith and respect and gave him a share of the food. The Brahmana guest ate his share and then went away.
Thereafter, having divided the remaining food with his relative, Rantideva was just about to eat his own share when a Sudra guest arrived. Seeing the Sudra in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Rantideva gave him also a share of the food.
When the Shudra went away, another guest arrived, surrounded by dogs, and said, O king, I and my company of dogs are very hungry. Please give us something to eat.
Text 9. With great respect, King Rantideva offered the balance of the food to the dogs and the master of the dogs, who had come as guests. The king offered them all respect and decencies.
Thereafter, only the drinking water remained, and there was only enough to satisfy one person. When the king was just about to drink it, Chandal appeared and said, O king, although I am in low born, I will give you some drinking water.
I create hearing the able words of the poor Kathleen Chandala. Maharaj Rantideva spoke the following excellent words.
I do not pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the 8 perfections of mystic yoga, nor for salvation from repeated birth and death. I want only to stay among all the living entities and suffer all distresses on their behalf, so that they may be freed from suffering.
By offering my water to maintain the life of this poor Chandala who is struggling to live, I have been freed from all hunger, thirst, fatigue, traveling of the body, hopelessness, distress, lamentation, and execution.
Having spoken thus, King Deva, although on the verge of death because of this, gave his own portion of water to the Chandala without hesitation, for the king was naturally very kind and so.
Demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who can satisfy all materially ambitious men by giving them the rewards they desire, then manifested their own identities before King Deva, for it was they who had presented themselves as the Brahmana, Sudra, Chandala, and so on.
King Deva had no ambition to enjoy material benefits from the demigods. He offered them obeisances, but because he was spiritually attached to Lord Vishnu, Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he fixed his mind at Lord Vishnu's glorious feet.
O Maharaja Parashar, because King Deva was a pure devotee, always Krishna conscious and free from all material desires. The Lord's original energy, Maya, could not exhibit herself before him. On the contrary, for him, Maya eventually vanished, exactly like the rain.
All those who followed the principles of King Deva were totally favored by his mercy, became pure devotees, attached to the personality of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. Thus, they all became the best of yogis.
Joy. Okay. Read text 12 again. Please, so I'll read line by line. I'll read the Sanskrit, and then after that we'll recite. Na kamayeham gatimishvarat param ashittarthi yuktam apurna bhavam va artim prapadye khila deha bhajam antastito yena bhavanti dukkha na kamayeham gatimishvarat param ashtarti yuktam apurna bhavam va artim prapadye khila deha bhajam antastito yena bhavanti dukkha na kamayeham gatimishvarat param ashtarti yuktam apurnarbhavam va artim prapadye khila deha bhajam antah stito yena bhavanti dukkha
Nakamayeham gatim ishvarat param
Nakamayeham gatimishvarat param ashtarti yuktam apurnarbhavam va artim prapadye akhila deha bhajam ashtarti yena bhavanti dukkha na kamayeham gatimishvarat param ashtarti yuktam apurnarbhavam va
artim prapadye khila deha bhajam
Artim prapatye kila deha bhajam.
Antastito yena bhavanti adukha.
Antastito yena bhavanti dukkhaha. Nakamyeham matim ishvarat param. Ashtarti yuktam apurnarbhavam va. Prapatye kila deha bhajam. Antastito yena bhavanti dukkhaha. Okay, let's go word for word. Na, not. Kamaye, desire. Aham, I. Gatim, destination. Ishvarat, from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Param, great. Ashtarithi Yuktam, composed of the 8 kinds of mystic perfection. Apunna Bhavam, cessation of repeated birth, liberation, salvation. Va, either. Artim, sufferings. Prapadye, I accept. Akhila Deha Bhajam, of all living entities. Anta Stitaha, staying among them. Yena, by which. Bhavanti, they become. Adukkaha, without distresses. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. I do not pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the 8 perfections of mystic yoga, nor for salvation from repeated birth and death. I only want to stay among all the living entities and suffer all distresses on their behalf, so that they may be freed from suffering. Purport. Vasudev Dutt made a similar statement to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, requesting the Lord to liberate all living entities in his presence. Vasudeva Dutt submitted that if they were unfit to be liberated, he himself would take all their sinful reactions and suffer personally, so that the Lord might deliver them. A Vaishnava is therefore described as being para dukha dukhi, very much aggrieved by the suffering of others. As such, a Vaishnava engages in activities for the real welfare of human society. Jai. Okay. Powerful verse, powerful pastime of Maharaj Shantidev. So when I was thinking, when the devotees asked me yesterday to give this class, I was like, oh great, this is a very heavy verse. How do I prepare in point in your life? So I just want to make sure I don't get one. Okay, please. So, yeah, so, okay. Okay, we're good now. Okay, now I can speak freely. So I wanted to speak on the topic of, discuss the topic of initiation. We're not necessarily going to get into what are the right or wrong reasons for initiation, but really what are some of the meditations we can have as we're aspiring for initiation, or if you're already initiated, right? The most, when I took the Guru Disciple course, the teacher, he said that the most exciting part, or the most exciting part that is perceived by the general public is the name. Oh, what name are they going to get? What name are they going to get? And even the person who's getting initiated, sometimes they'll be like, oh yes, what name am I going to get? I'm thinking of this one and that one and this one, this name. I really hope, Maharaj. And some of us will even say that, oh, Maharaj, can you please give me such and such name? Right? However, the most important part of the name is the last word, das or dasi. That is the most important part of the name. Another aspect of initiation is that we take on the do's and don'ts. The do's of initiation is chanting 16 rounds every day. The don'ts of initiation is, the 4 regulative principles: no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, no meat eating, right? But then deeper than that is like, okay, I want to not just chant 16 rounds like on a quantitative perspective, but on a qualitative perspective. Like I want to deepen my sadhana, I want to deepen my chanting, my attachment to the holy name. And when we think of the 4 regulative principles, it's just not no meat eating. It's like, okay, I want to practice ahimsa. I want to practice non-violence in my words and my actions. It's not just about no gambling. I want to be honest. I want to live a life of honesty, cleanliness, just mentally and also internally, and truthfulness in our words, in our private and public life. So these are all deeper meditations or deeper reasons for taking initiation. But the aspect of initiation that I want to talk about today is really becoming a part of the Guru Sampradaya, of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, right? So the disciplic succession or Sampradaya, there's 4 of them really in Sanatana Dharma. Does anyone know? So the first one comes from Lord Brahma, which we are. The second one comes from Rudra or Shiva. Sorry? Shri. Yeah, Lakshmi. Sorry, yes, Shri. So Rudra, Shri. And then the 4th one is from the 4 Kumaras. And then each of these 4 Sampradayas have 4, you can say, main gurus, right? So from Lord Brahma's Sampradaya, we have Madhvacharya. That's why Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. From Rudra, we have Vishnu Swami. If, in the Gujarati households, we have the Pushti Margis. Pushti Margis are coming from Vishnu Swami, from Rudra Sampradaya. Vallabhacharya came in that lineage. Of course, we have Sri Ramanujacharya, who we read even in our Gaudiya, even in Prabhupada's books. And then we have Nimbarkacharya as well, that is coming from the 4 Kumaras. So the lineage that we fall into, that ISKCON falls into, is the Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Because after Madhvacharya, later down the line, it came Madhavendra Puri, which is where this temple, New Ramuna, the pastime of Ramuna Dham, was in Madhavendra Puri. And then after Madhavendra Puri came Ishvara Puri, and then the Guru, and then came Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the disciple of Ishvara Puri. And then after that, we then have our lineage, or most recently, we have Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So this is the lineage that we are a part of, right? We are part of this Brahma, Madhva, and then Gaudiya relates to Bengal. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's when we call it the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So when we actually take initiation in this Sampradaya, what we are proclaiming to the world is that we are active members of this Sampradaya. As disciples, we are responsible for taking on instruction from our Diksha Guru, yes, but also from all gurus that are coming in this lineage, from Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, so on and so forth. And so when we consider the weight of initiation, when we consider this that we actually are now responsible for representing this Sampradaya, we have to get serious in terms of what kind of instructions, what are the expectations of the lineage, of the gurus in this lineage, what expectations do they have of us? And so when we consider this, of course we can take Srila Prabhupada has certain expectations of us, our Diksha Gurus have certain expectations of us, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has certain expectations of us. But what I would like to do today is actually go to the first guru of this sampradaya, which was Lord Brahma himself. And all of this lineage, this entire lineage is delineated in the end of the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita. If you pull it up, you can see it goes Lord Krishna, Brahma, Narad, so on and so forth, all the way until His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So today what I want to do is I really want us to actually focus on one particular instruction that Lord Brahma actually gave to Narad. And this appears in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 52. He says that, and this is what Lord Brahma is telling Narad, he says that please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service onto the personality of Godhead Hari, the supersoul of living being and the summum bonum of all energies. Right? So, okay, this one. Yeah, this is this verse. But this is the instruction that is being given by Brahma to Narad Muni. So let's meditate on that. So Brahma, the first guru of this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, is saying that we need, as members of this Sampradaya, as initiates of this Sampradaya, need to preach, essentially, need to do outreach, need to share the science of Krishna consciousness, but not just share it in such a way that the person that whom we are sharing it with actually develops love for Godhead in their heart. It actually inspires them to take Krishna consciousness, right? This is the commitment that we are signing up for when we take initiation. I was listening to a class by His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, and he was talking about the same topic about initiation. And when we get initiated, of course, we make a vow. If we're going to follow 4 regulative principles, we're going to chant 16 rounds. But what he said next at that time, it was a little reality check. He said that is the foundation of your spiritual life. Once you take initiation, that's the minimum, right? Of course, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but we often have this assumption that chanting 16 rounds, following 4 regulative principles, I've done it, I've achieved, I'm now Pakka devotee. Or if you take second, now you're chanting Gayatri 3 times, done. That is, according to our teachers, that is the minimum, that's the foundation upon which we're going to develop the rest of our spiritual life. So this is in one sense, this is what is ahead of us. This is what weight is being placed on our shoulders. This is what we are signing up for when we make the vow of getting initiated in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And again, this is not me saying it, but this is actually what Brahma, the first guru of this Sampradaya, is saying. If we look at the Chaitanya Chaitamrit Mahatya Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Charit dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh, amara agyay guru hai tare desh. That wherever you see, spread the message of Krishna consciousness. Whoever you see, spread the message of Krishna consciousness. And then you know what Prabhupada says in the purport? The first line of the purport, Prabhupada says that this is the sublime mission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. To spread Krishna consciousness, to share Krishna consciousness with others. So, based on what I've just presented, first the statement from Srimad Bhagavatam, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction, and then Prabhupada's purport. And I mean, there's so much evidence that you can find, but I don't think there should be any doubt on what initiation in this movement means. It means to seriously take up this mission of sharing Krishna consciousness, right? Being in Krishna consciousness, being part of ISKCON, if you will, think of it in a second. It's like being part of a professional sports team, okay? How many of you are cricket fans? Okay, how many of you are any sports fans? Yes, would you watch? Basketball people? You like playing sports? Okay, sounds good. So, in professional sports, I'm not talking your Sunday league, right? I'm not talking your gully cricket. I'm talking like professional sports. In professional sports, how does a team work? Monday to Friday, they're training. They're hitting the gym, focusing on diet, focusing on sleep, focusing on strength training, cardio, whatever have you. They're training hard. Then comes game day. And game day, they go out and they perform. And if they win, well, they get inspired and they're like, I'm going to continue to go hard in the gym, going to continue to train hard in my time down. And then if they lose, then they still get inspired. They're like, no, I need to go harder. I need to get my head in the game. I need to keep on pushing. Now, imagine if you're part of a sports team. You train Monday to Friday. Come Saturday, they're like, well, are we going to go play a game? They're like, no. You just have to continue to train. Just go back into the training and train. So like, okay, fine. Then you train Saturday, Sunday, and they're like, okay, are we doing a game day today? No, it's okay. Back to training. And then you just keep training the other way through. Do you really think a professional sports person is gonna be like, no, put me in the game. I want to play. That competitive spirit, that excitement is that's the buzz of professional sports. That's why you love the game, as they say, right? In Krishna consciousness, our reading, our chanting, our listening to class, that is our training. That is our Monday to Friday schedule. But then comes Saturday. Saturday is game day. Saturday is when we have to go out there and we have to preach and we have to share Krishna consciousness. And people are going to challenge us. People are going to throw out questions that we may not have answers to, but that should inspire us to go back to the gym and train harder. So I say that, but what is the schedule that most of us, I hope not most of us, I'll say that what is the schedule that we tend to follow? The schedule we tend to follow is I'm going to train Monday to Friday, do my sadhana Monday to Friday, yes. And the weekend comes, I'll still do my sadhana, but sharing Krishna consciousness, Prabhu, I'm okay. I'm not, how can I share? I'm not really there, right? The beautiful thing about game day in Krishna consciousness is you don't necessarily have to be out on the pitch. If you're not, you can be out there distributing books, yes. You can be out there doing kirtan. You can be organizing activities that helps devotees go out there and distribute books and do kirtan. You can help cook prasad for devotees when they come back or when they're out there doing book distribution, sharing Krishna consciousness, whatever it is. You can do marketing, and if you are a leader in any capacity, then even setting opportunities for others to inspire them to share Krishna consciousness, to go out in the front fields, that is still all part of the Sankirtan movement. Right? And this is the instruction from our Sampradaya. This is what it means. This is the weight of the Sampradaya. When you sign up for initiation in a movement, it's about you're signing up to go out there and you're to share Krishna consciousness. Let there be no mistake about that. Right? We see, just think to yourself, think about all your spiritual heroes for a second. When I say that, who's your spiritual hero? A personality should come into your mind, right? Think about their qualities. When I think of my spiritual heroes, I think of personalities like His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Tribhuvanath Prabhu, right? All these wonderful personalities. And the one common thread I see in all their lives is that they had full determination and faith and in in this instruction of sharing Krishna consciousness. They gave their entire life. I mean, we see devotees now even, right? We don't have to go as far back. Like, just to orient everyone, we're part of a movement where, like, we had personalities like Haridas Thakur, who was willing to get whipped in multiple areas just so that he can continue to spread Krishna, the holy name of Krishna. That is the lineage we are part of. We are part of a lineage that we don't even, like just 30 years ago, where devotees in Russia were getting locked up in concentration camps by the KGB because they were sharing Krishna consciousness. Yeah, there is a book called Salted Bread. And the reason why that book is called Salted Bread is because the devotee who writes this book, he got captured by the KGB and sent to concentration camps in Russia. And while he was in the prison, the Russian prisons would serve him meat and all these things, like non-vegetarian foodstuffs. They don't care if you're practicing devotee or not. And then they would serve them a slice of bread. But the slice of bread, now that's the only thing they could have, right? Even in that moment, they still maintained their vows. They would throw everything away and just eat that slice of bread. But the slice of bread was so hard and so coarse and so drying that if they would put it in their mouth, they wouldn't be able to chew because it would just suck away all the saliva. So what they would do is they would ask for more salt so they could salt the bread. And just by salting the bread, the salt would stimulate the salivary glands so the saliva can be produced and they can continue to chew and digest the bread. That is the movement that we are part of. And when they got released from prison, some devotees unfortunately didn't make it out. They left their body in those concentration camps and the reason why they were there is because they were sharing Krishna consciousness. That is the movement we are part of. We have devotees right now. We have His Grace Ambarish Prabhu in the hospital suffering from a stroke because he's taking on so much, like he's literally giving his body, his health, his mental health, everything to set up the TOVP. Why? So that you and I can enjoy it. So that you and I can have spiritual inspiration when we go to Mayapur to give our life more to Krishna. That is the movement that we are part of, right? And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shikshastakam, the verse is Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahagni Nirvapana Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shaira Kairava Chadrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. So this Sankirtan movement, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, is Vidya Vadhu Jivanam, is the life of transcendental knowledge. If you want to infuse your Krishna consciousness with life, if you want to infuse your spiritual life, if you want to infuse your spiritual life with life, then you have to share Krishna consciousness. That is actually what's going to infuse our Krishna consciousness with life. That's what's going to sort of give the juice, the buzz, in one sense, the rasa to our spiritual life. And so, you may say at this point, Prabhu, I understand, right? I get it, that yes, being part of this movement means sharing Krishna consciousness. I'm ready to do that. But and I certainly hinted it before, what we don't understand is the sacrifices we have to make to share Krishna consciousness in an impactful way. Everyone in this room is here because countless number of devotees have literally given their life, given their life to the movement so that we can be here. Right? If just thinking about this temple, if you had seen the state of the basement of ISKCON Toronto before all of this was built, it wasn't a place where you could stay. We had some rooms, but not to the degree that we have today. This came because someone took it upon themselves, a few devotees took it upon themselves to think about how they're going to renovate this space so that all of us can be here today experiencing Krishna consciousness in the way that we are. That is the sacrifice. There's so many devotees who've made sacrifices, who've gone through so much suffering so that we could be here today. And this is the point that relates to today's verse. Ranti Dev, he's praying that let me take the suffering of everyone else so that they may get a shot at coming to your lotus feet, my dear Lord. That is the ethos of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Ultimate, absolute sacrifice, to the point where we are inviting suffering onto ourselves. Right? Of course, sacrifice, you can start off as externals, right? We give up our resources, we give up our time, we give up, just like if you think about Krishna consciousness, how do we start Krishna consciousness? Krishna consciousness initially starts from when we join Krishna consciousness, we change our dress, we start to put on tilak, we change our hairstyle, right? We change our eating habits, waking habits. Slowly, it goes from an external to an internal. Later on, then we have to give up our false ego. We have to give up our desire for name, fame, adoration. We have to give up our desire even for, for name, fame, adoration, false ego, and so many other internal aspects of ourselves. Sometimes even our individuality, so that we can serve the movement. So similarly, when we share Krishna consciousness, it's not just about yes, initially we have to make sacrifices on an external level, but eventually we're going to get to a point where we're going to have to make sacrifices on an internal level. And that is the difficult part. That is the hard part. Being able to, being able to really renounce our sense of this is what I've done for the movement, or this, I'm spreading Krishna consciousness so much, I should be getting some results. Trying to give all of that up, that requires a lot of substance. But through making these sacrifices, what I want us to take away in the last 5 minutes is that just look in your own life and just think about it. How many people have made sacrifices so that you can be here today? And if they have made so many sacrifices so that we can be here today, then isn't it just natural that in order for us to show our gratitude to their sacrifices, that we too become a part of this movement, and we said that now I'm going to make sacrifices for the next batch of devotees to come into the movement. Being part of the parampara means not just taking from the parampara, it also means contributing to the parampara, contributing to the next set of devotees that are going to come up. And that means making sacrifices so that somebody else can also take Krishna consciousness. So this is what I wanted to speak to you about. And the last bit that I'm actually going to end with, and this is sort of the cake, in my opinion. This one purport, it's from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 24. This is what takes the cake for me. The Prabhupada writes, in executing penance, so when we make sacrifices, when we welcome suffering for the propagation of Krishna consciousness, we actually transform suffering into penance, into austerity. So Prabhupada writes, in executing penance, one must become determined to return home back to Godhead and must decide to undergo all types of tribulations for that end. Even for material prosperity, name, and fame, one has to undergo several types of penances. Otherwise, no one can become an important figure in the material world. So if you want to go and become a CEO, you want to go and, hustle, you have to work hard. You have to undergo some level of austerity. Why then should there not be severe type of penances for the perfection of devotional service? Krishna consciousness, material things will help you live a comfortable life, this life. Spiritual life will help you erase material life altogether. So you get the association of Krishna and his devotees in the spiritual world for eternity. Right? Why then should not there be severe type of penances for the perfection of devotional service? This is the line. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. I think that seals the deal. There's nothing to be said after that. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. The order is received from the Lord, either directly or through the bona fide spiritual master, and to execute that order, however painstaking, is the severe type of penance. One who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. So just to conclude, we talked about what does initiation means. Initiation means following the order of the Guru Sampradaya. And one of the principles, orders of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is that we have to share Krishna consciousness with others. It's coming from Brahma. It's reiterated by, we took examples where it was coming from Brahma, who communicated it to Narad. It's been written in the Shikshamrita, so the instructions left by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there's so many examples of this in Prabhupada's books, letters, morning walks, lectures, what have you. So this instruction of sharing Krishna consciousness with others, this is almost like a principle, it's required, period. And the reason for that, and when we share Krishna consciousness with others, not only are we just following the instructions of Guru, but we are actually infusing our spiritual practice with life, right? And when we share Krishna consciousness with others, we have to share it to the stage where we make sacrifices, where we are undergoing suffering. We should be so determined when we're sharing this, because that is actually what's going to transform suffering into penance. And when we perform penance for the mission of sharing Krishna consciousness with others, then, as Prabhupada says here, what does Prabhupada say? That leads to the perfection of devotional service, right? Is one who follows this principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. So that's all I had to share today, based on what we read on Vanti Dev's sacrifice and penance. Any questions, comments, feedbacks? Yeah.
What was the verse again?
Which verse? The last one?
2:9.
Give me 1 second. It was 2:9:24. Purport. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. Perfect. Jai Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalps.
I was like,